Welcome back. It is Jobs Day in America. We just got those non-farm payrolls. They increased 428,000 in the month of April. So the unemployment rate remained unchanged. Also saw downward revisions to the prior 2 months of jobs by 39,000. Initially, stocks popped on this report, but we're seeing some of those gains given back here in the early going.
Well, let's bring back our guests into the conversation. We're continuing our jobs conversation with Miller Tabak, Chief Market Strategist, Matt Maley, and Michelle Girard, who is the head of U.S. for NatWest Markets. You know, as we continue to think about this, Matt, looking at the reaction for the major averages right now, are we in a good news is bad news type of scenario? Because the Fed could perhaps continue to just look at this and that add fuel to the fire for their strategy on rate policy.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things that really concerned, I think, investors, and I was thinking when he said it on Wednesday, I was surprised the market didn't react to it really, but they did react yesterday, obviously, is that, again, he talked about how they cannot impact the supply side of this equation. And, usually inflation is very, very good. It's good because, the economy is doing better. It's, inflation is gradual. People make more money. They have better jobs, so they can afford the higher prices. When it's supply driven, like it was during the 1970s when we had the oil embargo from the OPEC oil embargo, it's the same type of thing. People can't afford those higher prices, so they have to pull back from other areas so they can pay their rent, pay their mortgage, and put food on the table. And that's what the big problem is. It's going to take a while for this to play out. And again, I really think that the war in Russia and as Michelle mentioned, the situation in China is going to make this tough for a long period of time. If people embrace this and not fear it, I think they're going to be able to come out at the end of the year, coming out much better, and they won't be the ones selling at the absolute low when that eventually comes.
Michelle, after yesterday's carnage in the markets, where do you go and what do you do?
Well, I mean, again, we're not an equity shop, so I can't speak to specific equity or investment strategies in that realm. But I think, as Matt was saying, you always want to take a longer term view. And the actions that the Fed are taking now are incredibly important to put us on a sustainable growth path. If the Fed were not being aggressive on inflation, as we were talking about, far more debt.
But they're not being aggressive, guys. They're doing the bare minimum. They all have these same talking points. They're not being aggressive. They're being aggressive. You would have done 75 or 100 basis points. It's that simple. Hell, you would have done more, 200 basis points, because you need to catch up.
To U.S. economic health, to have inflation that just continues to move higher, then you get into a situation where ultimately the Fed does have to engineer a much sharper downturn in order to eradicate it. And so you do want the Fed to be moving quickly, in my opinion, to get policy to a more appropriate stance. There are supply issues, but there is also very strong demand. We are still seeing strong demand as a continuation of persisting from all of the stimulus that we saw on both the monetary and the fiscal side to consumers, to businesses. That has really helped to sustain
Yeah, but that means we haven't earned anything, guys. Nobody's earning the money. What happens when that stimulus runs out? All this shit ends. That's what nobody's acknowledging. It all ends. It all ends.
Strong underlying economic fundamentals. And again, there are actions that the Fed needs to take to be sitting with interest rates this far below the neutral level at this point in the cycle with this kind of inflation is just not a situation the Fed is right to be looking to address.
All right, so we got to take our medicine. Matt, I'll ask you the question then. Where should you go in this market?
Yeah, well, I mean, we learned in the 1970s, and you look at history in the past, hard assets. And this is one of the reasons why, the energy stocks continue to work well. And I think we'll see some pullbacks from time to time. Nothing moves in a straight line, but I think energy, agricultural names, the Archer Daniels Midlands of the world, that may not be the sexiest names in the world, but they're ones that are going to do very, very well. And they're shouldn't go down. They'll certainly outperform. And it's funny too, is that everybody's worried about this issue of a real estate bubble. But we're not, people aren't buying it with 5% down and buying a third house with 5% down, hoping to flip it. They're buying it to live in the houses. In the 1970s, owning a home was a great hedge against inflation. So people need to be a little bit careful about moving out of the house and starting to rent.
Good morning, 7:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Now I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And to all the grandmas, because it's still your role. So I'm going to be going to the flower show at 9 o'clock. It's like 7:53 a.m., so in about an hour and 7 minutes. But I want to do you guys an update. I know, how can I possibly be up and have energy? Well, you guys don't even know the half of it. My son was up until 3 a.m., so I slept for like 4 hours. But here I am. So make sure to hit that motherfucking like button, especially on this Mother's Day. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Join the more than 10,200 subscribers. If you want to see my Twitch, which we had a live stream last night, it's in the video description below. Also, if you want to join the Telegram, all you have to do is join Tom's Army, $9.99 a month. You want merch or anything else, just look below. So XRP, we're going to focus on. So we had some fun last night talking about XRP in the weekly. If we were to drop down and take this bull flag and turn it into a bear pennant or bear pattern, and that's how we get down to 15.5 cents. But that's not right now, that's in the future. So I'm gonna take this off, and you're gonna have to watch the live stream or the hour and 8-minute update that I uploaded on here last night. So we have a weekly engulfing candle. We can see this. We broke. Remember what we talked about earlier in the week? We ended up breaking this yesterday. I think it was yesterday when we came down to 56.3 and we finally broke this. Yeah. We came a little bit lower, but 56.375 is where we hit last night. So that broke like I thought we would this weekend. We ended up breaking this low, the session or the pattern low at 56.5, so we absolutely came through. We drew that triangle out. I just free-handed that in there, and I told you once it broke that, it was going to continue and hit that blue line below it, and it broke that and hit the blue line below it. I kept it real simple. Now we're at a technical double bottom, but I believe we're going to fall through. I believe this is nothing. I think we're going to just fade away. We have no volume, and I think our next step is down here at 52 cents. I haven't wavered. I said we're on a bearish continuation when the weekend started, and now we've created another bearish continuation. Every time we get any volume, we just bring it right back. So XRP is looking atrocious. This is what you need to know this Mother's Day morning. You guys need to stay safe. Spend it with your moms if you have them left. Spend them with your kids if you are a mom. If you are married to a mom, make her feel special. Do something special. I'm going to the flower show with my significant other for the 7th year. And hold on one second. I gotta let my cat out. Come on, cat. Okay. Good kitty. So yeah, that's the deal. Your significant other should be special today, not if you're a guy, don't be a dick. And don't act like, oh my god, it's Mother's Day, don't be a dick. It's that simple. So 34,754 is the 20-day. And this is one of the, when you see these S style, it's a W, but it kind of looks like it's an S or an 8. These are bearish. They're reversals because you don't have enough strength, so they're kind of like sidewinding. So yeah, you could do something like that, and then you're just going to pour out. So this is very dangerous this morning because it's really looking like we're starting a bearish continuation. And sometimes these do this at the end, and then so just be very careful, guys. This is not the ideal trading situation. Make sure to hit that like button. Join Tom's Army. We're going to end it with this. Remember, guys, hashtag be better, do better, hashtag FUD assassins, and remember, help one person each and every day, because if I don't do my part and you don't do your part, what the hell's the point? And I hope you like the background on here now. So I added it. So I took a picture of my face and turned me into an emoji. That's what it came up with. So I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks pretty close. I look more like my cousin Chris than I do of myself, I think. But see, I always picture myself as the fat guy from 20 years ago. Because, 2 decades ago I was fat. And now I look at myself and it always surprises me. I know I'm skinnier, well, skinny, but when you were fat, you always have that mindset, no matter how many years it's been. So whenever I see myself and the way they portray me, like they portrayed me as really skinny, and Julie's like, well, see, how they portrayed you, and I'm like, well, that's got to be a lie. He said, no, it's not. And I'm like, well, I still got the fat man mentality then. So, Twitter. I just wanted to go over, I love this still. Stillmatic, I thank you for sending me this. I love that. And this, to put it in context, he sent out Search for Crypto, and something was happening. We were dropping, and he called out me and Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing, and asked where we were at, or when we were going to do an update, and I had to reply. I just put an update out. It was there before your tweet. And he sent this back. Oh, no, that was this one. Yeah, see, Search for Crypto. There it is. That's what he asked. And then I commented back, update's already out. And then he put that. What a beautiful. Take it easy. Yes, it's only $9.99. Join Tom's Army. UB2B. Bob, Bob, Bob. I love these. Bob, Bob, Bob. Just join Tom's Army. So UB2 Sob's waiting for his new phone to come in. And then we'll have some more stuff. So. And then this was about London Real. From Yana. Thank you, Yana. You made my morning when I read it. Alright, so we're going to leave you with this motivation.
We all do things that we're not happy that we did, but that doesn't mean that's you now. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I think people that hurt people's feelings, even if you justify it, you know you did something, and I think that fucks with your head, and it devalues you in your own eyes. You're not a hero in your own eyes. You're not someone who you respect. You know, you're doing what you got to do to get by, but ultimately you're not respecting yourself. And I think we all have a certain amount of appreciation and respect for hero figures. You know, like we all look at like the guy who never lies and always does the right thing and fucking helps everybody out, and that's the John Wayne character. You know, that's the ultimate hero. And when you look at your own life and you don't stack up, you're a thief. You stole money from your wife's purse, and you know you don't want to smoke cigarettes, but you fucking have to. You can't deal with the stress. You smoke. You devalue yourself. You slowly start devaluing yourself. When you look at yourself, you realize that if you were judging yourself, you would judge yourself unfavorably. If you're stealing, if you're hurting people, if you're damaging 100%. People. So no matter who you can't pretend you're the hero of your story. You can't. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You can be the hero of your own story that woke up today. You can be the hero of your own story that at 40 years of age stopped, got out of bed and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing this differently 100%. Now. I am going to figure this out, and I'm going to do it only by my instincts and only by my morals and my ideals and my mind. And I'm going to be dead honest with myself because I'm
Guys, this is what I did at 35 years old. Or what is it? 34 years old. Mounds of debt. I had a broken back and I was working a labor job. Wasn't using my brain. You know, living in a trailer that's falling apart. Making payments, having no money left. Literally. Being in the negative. Paying bills and being negative. Credit cards piled up. And a credit score under 600. I finally one day was like, you know what? I got to be honest with myself. I have to look at my credit because I wouldn't look. I need to look at all the debt I owe, and one by one, I paid them all. Then when the government, started sending us money 3 years ago, I didn't take the unemployment. I had a choice in 2020. Take the unemployment or continue to grind and try to figure out a way to make money. And the unemployment I was offered, because of where I was working before, and I was getting the max plus that extra $600 a month they were gonna get, or a week they were gonna give me. So I turned that down and I had to figure it out. And then it led to YouTube just over a year ago. And I learned my technical analysis before that. I was a really great trader before that as well. Before I started my YouTube, I learned it, figured it out, especially in the commodities. Great commodities trader. Started building my bullion, got out of debt, no credit card debt, nothing like that. And now my credit's 717, so it's a world of difference.
And this is not going to last forever. And I'm going to be the nicest human being to everyone I meet, possibly. And I'm going to get myself in shape, and I'm going to eat healthy. And I'm going to do this because this is me now. I decide that this is me. And people have to realize that you are not your past. You are not all the times you f***ed up. You are not all the times you couldn't get it up. You are not all the times you were drunk and you threw up in someone's car. That's not you. Well, you are the person who's learned from a great deal of experiences. And if you learn correctly and if you process them correctly, you'll have a happier life. Look, there's a lot of ways you could look at bad events. You could say a bad event is just who you are, and you just have bad events, and you're a fucking loser, and life hates you, and God hates you, and look at that, happening to Mike again. Can't fucking believe it. There's a lot of guys who go through life like that, and they could say that they seek comfort in lowering the standards that they expect out of things. So when things go bad, and they say, "Well, I fucking knew it." For them, it alleviates some concern about what's going to happen in the future, because the future is always dog shit. It's hard to be comfortable with yourself, so it's very hard to be comfortable with other people. That's why I always stress with people, like, you've got to accept yourself for what you've done wrong. Do your best, and also find some difficult shit to do, because that gets away a lot of the anxiety that you carry around in your body. A lot of difficult things make regular life less difficult. And that sounds so simplistic. The strain of making yourself do those things, it's very valuable. It's not just valuable like exercise and fitness and martial arts and running and whatever you're doing that's really difficult. It's not just valuable in terms of like health and the way you look, but it's also valuable for your mind, maybe even more so. Because regular life can be confusing, and little things that go wrong and little problems that arise are exacerbated by the fact that you're not accustomed to dealing with hardship. So creating your own bull is extremely valuable for you also, not just accepting the nuanced perspectives of other people, but also being able to navigate through this world with some sort of an understanding of just how complex it all is and how weird it all is, and not be overly thrown off by every little dip in the road and pothole that you encounter. Everybody's got these stupid barriers they put in their own head. You got to resist those goddamn things, because they don't do you any good, and they certainly...
This mistake could have cost me thousands of dollars.
...define the potential for your future in a negative way. It's not self-serving, and it's not even real. You put this artificial ceiling on the potential for what you're doing. If you hit a wall, okay, that just means you need to regroup and rethink. It doesn't mean that wall's there, especially when it comes to something like social media or like a podcast, something where you're putting out a piece of art, you're putting out something that you've created. There's no wall as far as like how many people are going to enjoy it or how far it's going to go. It's just, it is what it is. And if people don't like it, make it better. If they like it less, fix that. Figure out a way to do it. You can do that. And this idea that there's no way to get past the starting block today is just ludicrous. It's crazy. And it's just this poor thinking. Somebody's got to say that, because if people don't hear it, they're going to get a bad job. They're going to waste their fucking life. Folks, it ain't about that. It ain't about the guy who tries buying a clean car when you're dirty. It's not his fault. It's you should figure out how to be clean. You should figure out how to do a job that doesn't involve you walking in mud all day. And that's possible because somebody else has done it. It doesn't mean, I don't buy the idea that, the society the way it is right now, it has to be this way. Someone's always going to have to work at Burger King. Someone's always going to have to. I don't buy that. I think people are pretty fucking flexible. If you look at the broad spectrum of humans and human behavior from different cultures all over the world, it's pretty obvious to me that there's a lot of different ways that people can act. We don't have to have fast food workers. We don't have to have people who work jobs. We don't have to. We just need to figure out how to restructure society so everybody somehow or another plays a part, has something to contribute, has something to share. I mean, that's what a real society is supposed to be like. I give you some coconuts, you give me some fish. We make a deal, and you do it back and forth and left and right. And when there's nothing to contribute, then you start looking, the president needs to give us jobs. We need jobs. So instead of something to contribute, you just find something to do with your time. And then it becomes about doing that more than it becomes about finding something to contribute. So society gets wrapped around becoming a part of a machine. Society, instead of becoming a bunch of individuals that are expressing themselves in unique ways, and everybody sort of borrows and shares and sells this and you sell that, and we all sort of figure out how we can contribute in a society, we got sidetracked and diverted into these boxes that they call companies and corporations, and we got stuck into these containers, they go cubicles or offices, and we got forced into this system. So our time, instead of it being invested in making pottery or fixing cars or doing something where you have a passion or you have some sort of a connection to, instead of that, you've sold your life to sit in a box and work for a machine, an uncaring machine that demands productivity. It doesn't understand you. It doesn't want to understand you. It has a bunch of very strict things in order to keep the humor at a minimum in the office, just in case one of you kids says some stupid sex jokes to get them sued and they have to give somebody $1 million.